Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So I just turned 30 last week and I don't know about you or anyone else who just turned 30, but I'm so happy to be here. I feel like I learned and lived enough in my 20s, so stepping into my 30s feels so soothing and kind of bougie in a way. And I thought I was gonna make a regular vlog, but instead I decided to sit down and have a little chit chat. Today I'm gonna share 5 things I did in my 20s that I'm really glad about. And later on, 5 things I hope to try, learn, or become in my 30s. And just to be clear, this is not me recommending anything or telling you how to live your life. These are purely my own experiences, so I just wanted to look back and reflect on them with you. So, first, pursuing what turned out to be my mediocre passion. This actually started back in my late teens and went into my early 20s. I used to have pretty good grades in high school, so if I had stayed on that track, I probably would have gone to a decent university in Seoul. But around 16 or 17, I decided that I wanted to become a singer. I thought I was good enough, so when I entered my last year of high school, which is the most important year, I gave up the regular school track and fully focused on singing. My mom wasn't happy about it, of course. She knew how hard it is to become a singer in Korea, and she also thought that I was wasting my good grades and time. But I was so into it. I was taking classes to prepare college entrance exams, and I was participating in a lot of auditions. And at that time, I still believed I was good enough. And in a way, I wasn't bad, but I wasn't great. I only realized that after I got into one of the colleges I applied for. At first, I was so happy, but once I started attending the school, I realized there's so many people who are much better than me and much more passionate than me that really hit me harder every single day. And I was still auditioning, but nothing really worked out. And because I wasn't fully motivated anymore, so my grades at school weren't good either. At that time, I was devastated. I couldn't believe I had given up the possibility of going to a decent school university in Seoul and chose what I thought was my dream, only to face the reality I didn't want to. So I quit. I quit school and I still enjoy singing, but I don't dream of becoming a singer anymore. Now, when I look back, I'm actually glad that I pursued that dream, even if it was based on mediocre talent. Because if I hadn't, and if that dream still lingered in me today, I don't think I'll be where I am now. Second, traveling and discovering bigger world. I know this sounds cliche and cringe, but there is reason why people keep saying that you should travel when you're young. When you're young, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough experience, and that's exactly why it's the best time to go. With age comes a more caution, higher standards, and honestly, a little less boldness. And that's not a bad thing. It just means that you lived and experienced enough to be more careful. But because of that, you simply cannot go through the same reckless challenges or struggles that you can when you're younger. For me, travel didn't mean going to super fancy place or staying in a five-star hotel or luxurious vacations. It just meant leaving my comfort zone. I started by going to different neighborhoods in my cities, different cities in Korea, and that's when I finally realized how much I love being somewhere completely new. After saving up around 3,000 euros, I decided to fly to Denmark on a working holiday visa, which allowed me to find a job and live there. And I completely fell in love with Denmark. It was the very first country I've lived outside of Korea all on my own. It's such a beautiful place, and I met so many wonderful people and made so many good friends. But of course, it wasn't all about rainbows and flowers. I had job problems, money problems, housing problems, pretty much all the problems you can think of. Still, somehow, everything felt solvable back then. Like I wasn't scared. I just believed that I could go through anything. And at the end, I actually did. I did solve all of my problems. And later, I went to Canada to experience it all over again in a different country. Looking back now, I'm actually really grateful that I got to see bigger worlds at that age and to face all those daily problems, whether they might seem big or small. The problem solving skills I learned back then are still with me. And I honestly think they are some of the most valuable lessons I learned in my 20s. Third, working in a service industry. And trust me, I have such a love and hate relationship with customer related jobs. I've worked in so many different places, restaurants, cafes, retail shops, starting when I was 17 and up until very recently. So I really know how stressful and annoying it can be sometimes. Like, you just go home completely drained from talking to people all day. But at the same time, all those years shaped my personality in a very big way. You know, nobody ever teaches you how to deal with difficult customers, difficult people. For me, working in those jobs was like thrown into the real world. Dealing with difficult people and customers taught me how to stay calm under pressure, how to not take things personally, and how to solve problems even when it seems like it's not possible. And then there are managers, all with different kind of personalities. Some were very supportive, some were very strict, and some were just difficult. But through that, I learned how to adapt and pick up some of the good habits from each of them and how to get the job done no matter what kind of environment I was in. Looking back now, I'm so grateful I experienced all that from young age because they gave me something I can't learn from a textbook. A real social experience, resilience, and ability to deal with people. And those skills are still with me today, whether I'm working in an office or just living my daily life. Fourth, living alone. In Korea, it's actually very common to live with your parents until you get married. So honestly, if I had stayed in Korea, I don't think I would have ever experienced living alone in my 20s. But because I went abroad, I had the chance. When I was in Denmark and Canada, I only rented a room in apartments or house. So I was always sharing kitchen and bathroom and toilets with other people. And because of that, my living alone dream kept getting bigger and bigger. So when I finally moved to Amsterdam and found my student apartment, it really felt like I was living in that living alone dream. And let me tell you, living alone makes your life skill grow like crazy. Suddenly you're responsible for everything: cooking, cleaning, surviving, killing bugs, all that. I found out what kind of dishes I really love to cook and what kind of dishes I really love to eat. I learned how to clean different surfaces spotless, what kind of cleaning products I have to use. I had to kill bugs, disgusting, but still part of the deal. But more than anything, having so much time alone gave me space to really think about myself. I've always loved reflecting and being lost in my own thoughts. So those 2.5 years felt like endless time for that. So I think it was one of the most fulfilling and meaningful chapters of my 20s. Fifth, learning self respect. In my 20s, I went through a few of toxic relationships and situationships throughout my whole 20s. And looking back, I think that I just didn't know how to respect myself first. I came across an Instagram video recently where someone said something like,
Christian, my ex-boyfriend and I had a toxic relationship. He cheated multiple times and I left him. A year later, he's telling me he's changed and wants me back. Is it crazy to give him another chance? You know, this question perfectly highlights that the problem with some of y'all isn't that you're not pretty enough. It has nothing to do with the woman you are. You're just not pissed enough yet. You haven't hit rock bottom. Some of us hit rock bottom in high school after dealing with a stupid boy in high school. Others have to enter a marriage with a guy they should have never been dealing with, pump out 3 kids for him, and get left alone with no money while he runs off with another woman. There's different levels to this. So when I get a question like this, toxic relationship, he's cheated multiple times, and the girl's thinking about going back to him, I say, you know what, girl? Go back to him, because maybe you'll finally get pissed enough to find your self-worth.
And it really hit me so hard because I related to it so much. For me, it was after going through a couple of toxic relationships that I finally realized how to respect myself and know my self worth. And I truly believe that in order to meet someone great, you have to respect yourself first and put yourself first. So you really have so much love for yourself, and then finally you can receive love and also give love. And I learned that before I met DJ, and because I learned how to love myself, so I was really ready to be in such a loving and healthy relationship. So when I look back, I'm really grateful that I went through all those experiences in my 20s. Without them, honestly, I might have still not realized how important self respect is. Now, at first, I thought maybe I could share some of the things that I wish I had done in my 20s. But to be honest, I don't have any regrets. I truly believe that every step I took and every choice I made in my 20s shaped who I am today. So there isn't anything I look back and feel like, oh, I should have done that, you know? So instead, what I do want to share are some of the goals and hopes for my 30s, the things I want to try, learn, or become in this next chapter of my life. First, getting into a sport or activity. My mom has been the greatest inspiration here. She's almost 60 now and she works full time. Yet she's so consistent with aerobic classes and hiking. She's very healthy and very active. And growing up, I always thought,
Oh, when I get older, I'll naturally be like my mom.
but it's not like that, guys. It's not like that. When I was in school, I was always tired from studying. And when I started working, I'm always tired from working. So I would just come home and do nothing and be like wet seaweed on the couch. So in my 30s, I want to pick one sport or activity and completely fall in love with. Not just to do it for a few weeks, but to get completely hooked. Like make it part of my lifestyle and to see how it feels like to stick with it like my mom has. Second, reading books with more intention. When I was a kid, I absolutely loved reading. Like it was fun, exciting, and it was just one of the favorite things to do. But as I got older, I feel like the joy slowly faded away, especially now in the world we're in surrounded by this dopamine hits. Reading, which is so still and such a quiet activity, feels like slow and boring and less appealing. I mean, I still read time to time, and for some reason, bookstores are still one of my favorite places to go. But in my 30s, I want to bring back books closer into my life. Whether it's fiction or non-fictions, I just really want to read intentionally, thinking about what I want to take away from each book and reflecting on what it's giving me. I would love to start keeping notes and writing down some reflections after I finish book, and by end of my 30s it would be amazing to have a whole collection of thoughts, takeaways and reflections from all the books I've read. Third, not letting my age control me. Turning 30, I know this decade comes with lots of pressure and responsibility. People expect you to get married, have kids, or reach some kind of milestones by a certain age. And if you don't, this society treats you as if you failed. When I was younger, I thought it was a Korean thing. But for now, I think it's more global, that there are so many labels and expectations tied to being a woman in her 30s. It's like the whole world gives you a script and tells you this is how you're supposed to live. And honestly, I really don't want to be swept up by that. And of course, it's easier said than done. But to be honest, when I was 20s, I lived my life not caring so much about those titles or labels. So I really want to keep that mindset and same energy in my 30s. And to be real, when I think about it, I don't feel like 30. And sure, I mean, I've gained a lot of life experience and life lessons in my last decade, but deep down, I still feel like same me when I was 20. The core hasn't changed, and I don't ever want to lose that essence of who I am no matter how old I get. Fourth, learning another language, and that's probably Dutch. English has been with me almost my whole life. It's the language I've studied the longest, and it's a big part of my life now. But when I think about it, English is the only language I can speak fluently besides Korean, and that makes me a bit sad sometimes. Because the thing is, I think I have a good talent for a language. If I feel like once I put my mind into it, I can learn language pretty quickly. So when I first started studying English, it was so exciting. I loved the language so much, and I could really feel myself improving day by day, and that gave me a lot of motivation. But now I don't really have that excitement with another language. And since I'm living in the Netherlands, I don't want to keep relying on English forever. I want to learn the language and want to feel like I belong here. So one of my goals in my 30s is to learn Dutch, and by end of the decade my goal is to have a fluent daily conversation with people, not to be perfect, but to be fluent enough to feel like I belong here. Okay, completing my own project. I've always been someone with big ambition and big dream, but in my 20s, I didn't have time or space to think about them deeply, let alone develop them. Most of my 20s was really about surviving and just making the best out of the day, like studying, working, and figuring out how to live abroad. It wasn't until the later part of my 20s, when I started YouTube more seriously, that I began to feel those ambitions come back to life. Watching my YouTube channel slowly grow reminded me of those dreams that I used to have. So in my 30s, I want to take it further and complete a project under my own name. I don't know what it'll be. It could be brand, it could be a book, it could be a documentary even, but I want it to be something feels like mine. Something I look back and say, yeah, I made this. I did this. This is mine. Be proud of. And even though I don't know exactly what shape it'll take, I know one thing for sure. I believe everything is possible, and whatever it ends up being, I want to give it a try. So, yeah, those are the 5 things I'm most grateful for in my 20s, and 5 things I want to try and focus on in my 30s. Looking back, my 20s weren't perfect at all. They were messy, challenging, and sometimes it was just all about surviving. But all those moments built me who I am today. So honestly, I wouldn't trade them for anything. So thank you so much for sitting down with me and letting me share my reflections. Here's to our 30s. May it be a decade of growth, joy, and becoming more of who we really are. And of course, I would love to hear from you. What are you most grateful from your 20s? And what are you most excited about your 30s? Please let me know in the comments. I would love to read your stories too. Thank you so much. Bye.
Can we just be bona fide?